Welcome to Veronica Live, and I've got the Afterburner political segment here with my wingman, John Salak, and he's eating grapes, and I'm starving. So, John, it's like when I work out, I'm like, all it does is make me hungry. It's
And they're
awful.
cotton candy grapes on top of
Oh
that. Cotton
my
candy.
gosh!
Mm.
Wow, yeah. The neighbor had me over this weekend, and then I went to another party this weekend, and both of the parties somebody made homemade ice cream. Okay, I don't even like ice cream. I like a good Chick-fil-A vanilla shake. Guess who likes peach ice cream? Okay. And then the neighbors made chocolate cookie and cream ice cream, and I thought I died and went to heaven. I was like, what the hell? I guess I like ice cream. I wasn't eating the right ice cream.
And it's homemade on top of that. So
So I hope you had a wonderful Independence Day, and it was America's birthday, and
I
we.
thought there was a war going on out here for a while.
I know, because my kids are in New York, and that's what my son said. He's like, it was like I was in Afghanistan because everybody and cops were everywhere trying to secure the perimeter. Um, yeah, I didn't shoot any off this year. I just saw them far away. But, and I was so glad because Pride Month, thank you, was finally over. We put that baby to bed. And, I was thinking about it. And you can be gay. That's fine. I have gay friends. It doesn't bother me. But the constant barrage of every single day of craziness, and that parade in New York City was crazy. Naked people on bikes, men wearing these banana slings. I was looking forward to just red, white, and blue. And I was part of the Lynn Haven parade, and I was helping congressional candidate Rhonda Woodward. I almost died of heat stroke, I do want to say. I
I,
almost.
I took the advice and stayed inside because it was
I did.
hot.
I did say I will never
It was
do a
hot.
parade again. That because you're out there at 7 and you don't really
Yep.
start to go because there's a lot of people. So
Yep.
until 9:30, and it was 100 degrees, and they told people not to bring their dogs. And guess what? They brought their dogs, and I was dying. And I was like, "This is horrific with your designer dog out here." So that made me mad. But the patriotism of all the children, red, white, and blue, the little pigtails with ribbons, the two F-35s that flew over, and I screamed like a girl because I always do. Everybody knows my love of air power. So that part was beautiful, and I was probably the most people I've ever seen, except the people I was with. Some of them need to learn how to throw the candy and not peg anyone in the head, and that actually takes practice, John. And the official wave. I'm waving to
Yeah.
John, the Queen Elizabeth wave. But I was so glad to get back to America and our birthday, and why can't we celebrate it just more than one day a year? It just, I don't know. I
I,
love our country. I love our
I,
country.
I don't know what is it about the Lynn Haven Fourth of July parade. It is just quintessential Americana. I mean, it really is, and it's been that way. When that was kind of like when I first got here. It's like anybody who's anybody is in the Lynn Haven Fourth of July
Oh
parade.
my
Okay,
gosh. We were number 30, if
not
that
Panama
tells you
City.
anything.
Yeah, well,
And
usually they have like 100 and some, at least 100 and some people in the actual
it
parade.
was adorable, and we had multiple vehicles, and it was really awesome because one of I got to find the picture, but the people that are the team supporting Rhonda Woodward they're just literally incredible. And one of them was extremely talented. So on the front of this truck, there was a sign. I don't know if you can see it, John. You probably can't. Plus, I can't figure out. Oh, there we go. And
Okay.
it says all of these things. It was like a big poster painted with American flags, and it was on the front of this like F-150 that was souped up, and literally people running to take a picture of the sign. And it just said, close the border, stop sending U.S. tax dollars overseas, make America great again, and of course, vote Rhonda for Florida. And if we could have charged for the amount of people
Pictures.
running, I'm not kidding, John. I am not kidding.
Good fundraiser, huh?
That sign was on fire because this is what people want. We're not taking care of America, and our borders wide open, and I'm surrounded by 3 houses going up right now around me, and I don't know who these people are working on the houses. I've never been
Well,
prejudiced
I can
because
guarantee
I'm
you one thing,
Hispanic,
Veronica.
It's scary.
They're probably illegals, okay?
Well, that's what I'm wondering.
There's probably a 99% chance most of them are illegal. None of them speak English.
They're working really hard.
Guaranteed to that.
I feel for them when it's been 105 heat index because they want to make it, but I don't know who you are, and I just worry that somebody's a criminal, and that's the problem. I mean, they are working hard, I will say, and my heart breaks for them.
I agree with you on that point. It's like, and I have no issue against legalized immigration. Okay, no problem.
My whole family's 3 of them legal.
That's what America
3
is.
countries.
But we have some rules about it. Like one is you have to learn about the country. Okay, you have to learn what the Constitution is. You actually take a test for citizenship, and you have to pass it. Okay, and then you have to speak English. Okay, little things like that. But I don't mind these people that want to come here and work their ass off, because that's how you succeed. And they're not afraid of work. They're not like a lot of Americans who want to sit on their butts, and
I don't know how they're
watch
doing
TV
it
and get a government check.
They're working. They show up at 6 and they're there till like 9 p.m. every night, and it's been 110 degrees. So
exactly, they're out doing what you need to do to succeed, and I have no problem with that aspect of it. As I said, opposed to people sitting on their butts, watching TV, munching potato chips, and waiting for the government check in the mail.
Well, and that's the funny thing too.
That's
was
too much of Americans doing that.
We just had the CEO of InvestUSA.org buying vests for police officers that are in harm's way, bulletproof vests, and he wrote an op-ed, and he talks about, and we've read this in many op-eds, about how you and I can't get on a flight without an ID. We can't pay for electricity, open an account without like mail and an ID. We can't vote without an ID, and all of these people are living in hotels with food and getting credit cards to go now buy stuff, and nobody cares. I don't know who you are. You are.
Well, why is it, Veronica? I went to South Korea last month, and I came back, and I had to come show my passport and get my picture taken, because they take your picture now.
Yeah, now they take your picture.
Stamping they don't stamp your passport anymore. Well, why did they care? I'm standing in line there waiting because it's a big line, and I'm like, well, why do they care? They're letting these people in off the border. They have no idea who they are. They're not even taking their pictures. They're just letting them go. No paperwork. They don't care. Why do they care who I am coming in here, into Atlanta? What's the point?
I don't know. Why are we checking if we're letting everybody do what they want to do?
I know. So it just makes it's because I'm a citizen, and they can do what they want, and you have no rights basically. But the illegals have all the rights, but they're not citizens. I don't quite understand how that works, but
well, and we have a lot to talk about because I just texted you the cover of the New York Post today, and it's quite funny actually, because this should be one of the jokes. It's got Biden in a wheelchair, and he's about to go over the cliff, and it says, "Time to go, Joe. Top Dems now push the Bidens to drop out." And Friday, I went out to dinner, but I TiVo'd the George Stephanopoulos interview, which, oh, by the way, I hadn't seen him. I know he's a reporter, but I don't watch his station. And then his channel.
Reporter is a loose credit, okay? He's a Democrat hack, okay? Let's
a Democrat hack, and he married an actress back in the day, and he never was attracted. And oh, by the way, he's not attractive now, because that was the first time I actually had looked at him in a long time. But he did ask some hard questions, and Biden. I mean, he couldn't even answer questions still, John. I'm telling you.
I thought his level of conceit was unbevill.
Well, he was a cocky son of a bitch.
Right,
honestly,
right.
I was like, what the hell?
And he's dismissing all this stuff, like, well, I'm not down in the polls, you're lying about this stuff. And
well,
it's
and
like,
then
no, you are down in the polls.
He was sort of like deep breathing? He was like.
Well,
so he was deep breathing. So I took notes on my phone. He sounded terrible still. He was still sick.
So the first question is, was he juiced? Was he on something?
I think he was.
And he probably yes.
Yes.
most
But he
likely.
was deep breathing. He still sounded like he was sick. And then, of course, it was really weird because it looked like it was in a classroom. And so the background was out of focus, So I was like, what is this? Where was this shot? And then it was funny because one of the articles was like, oh, he looks so relaxed and kind of dapper because he had like a button-down shirt with a suit jacket, no tie. His legs were crossed, but wasn't he freaking cocky?
Yeah,
I mean,
and they spray tanned him too. He was orange.
Oh, he was tan, and then there was like a hum. And when I watched the interview, there's like I'm like, was there a generator in the room? So there's this awful hum, and he kept saying, "I'm the most qualified. I'm the most qualified to get things done." And then his big comment that everybody was talking about: the only way he was going to leave this race was if the Lord Almighty told him to get out of the race. So he's not leaving. He's not leaving. Oh, and then he said how he was holding NATO together, and who had that ability but him to do that. So I don't know. I wasn't impressed with the interview.
Well, I've never been impressed with Joe Biden. He is the absolute worst president. He's worse than Jimmy Carter. Okay,
which is hard to fathom.
Which is hard. Yeah, but he's managed to do it. I don't think he's going to last.
No.
The deterioration is happening too fast. If you just look at the last 6 months, he has really, really gone downhill in the last 6 months. Well, and at some point, you can't medicate this. You can't juice him enough, okay? You can't give him enough pills to get him going because you just can't overcome the dementia. You can't, and listen to his, you see these little tricks, that he's trying to deflect things. He loses his train of thought all the time.
Oh,
and usually when you hear the word anyway, he's completely lost when he says anyway.
Well, and George Stephanopoulos asked him, did you ever watch the debate afterwards? And he goes, I don't think I did. No. Okay. Would you not know the answer to that question?
Yeah, he should have said no, yes, whatever,
I mean, anytime I've done like a speaking engagement, I like to go back and look at it to see, how did I do? Did I look at the audience enough? How was I standing? I mean, and I've done a zillion of them, and I'm curious. Even our show, a lot of times I go back and listen to our show because when we have these fancy guests and we prep and we're enthralled in the interview, I can't enjoy the show because I'm trying to worry about the tech. I'm worried about what's the next question. Do I see John in the, So that's the thing, is you don't get to enjoy it. But he said, no, I don't think I did. No. So it wasn't even like a no, you watched it, or yes, you watched it. It was convoluted. If you watched the debate, John.
He has a complete lack of self-awareness, and as I said, what has Joe Biden ever got right? Nothing. He screwed up everything he was a mediocre politician. Crappy politician. He hadn't been in Delaware, he probably would have never got elected to dog catcher. But he's never done anything. He's never done. And then you look at all this stuff in his history. It's like this guy is a complete disaster. Always has been. Why did Obama pick him? Obama picked Joe Biden for the same reason that Joe Biden picked Kamala Harris. Because not a threat. He's a complete idiot, and they didn't need him. They were just checking a box.
Well, Stephanopoulos asked him about the lapses, and he's like, well, so Biden says, can I run the 110 flat? No, but I'm still in good shape. And then he asked him, are you more frail? He's like, no. And I don't know. He just said he could keep a schedule, and he laughed about it. It was very creepy too.
Yeah, but as long as it's between, what is it, 10 to 5 or something, or 11 to 4.
Well, they're saying 10
whatever
to 4.
They're talking about.
Because he has downers now. And then before we came on air today, I had Fox News on in the background, and they showed a graphic that said not Alzheimer's, a Parkinson doctor had been to the White House 10 times. And so one of the media outlets got Freedom of the Information and found that out. So I'm thinking they're going to blame all this on Parkinson's, but I think he has more than that.
I think you're right. There's a setup here, because all of a sudden, I mean, out of nowhere, here comes Parkinson's. It's always been dementia, and And now Parkinson's. That's not as bad as dementia. Okay, so when I think there are going to be some. They're again creating a story here because they're politicians and they lie to us all the time. They're creating a story to cover, and the question is, what are they covering now?
Well, I don't know because
remember,
we've been doing the show and they've had the White House, KJP and Kirby have been doing this joint presser today. And, I've had X looking at X. Apparently she's almost cried now a couple of times during this. So we have homework to do to talk about next time. But yeah, I think they're creating a story.
They've caught her lying. I mean, she sit there and said, they're a doctor, they came and he checked out Joe Biden after the thing for his cold. And then all of a sudden, Joe Biden, what did he say in the interview? Nope. He never saw a doctor about the cold. Never happened. So who's lying? Is Joe Biden lying or is KJP lying? One of them is.
George asked him about taking a neurological and cognitive test and releasing the results to the American people. So he was asking great questions. And this was Biden's response. Look, I have a cognitive test every single day. Every day I have that test. Every day I do. Not only am I campaigning, but I'm running the world. So he doesn't want to do this. And then he talked about how he continued on about how NATO is NATO because of him. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
What's the president's daily schedule? There's only one item on it, national security briefing, which is done with an iPad if he even reads it. They give an iPad national security, and he probably doesn't even look at it. That's it. He doesn't meet with anybody. He doesn't do anything.
And here it was, I'm the guy that put NATO together, the future. No one thought I could expand it. I'm the guy that shut Putin down. Oh, really? Putin's still, I
thought Trump was Ukraine. The one that told, isn't Trump the one that told NATO either pay up or we're leaving? And then all of a sudden their defense budgets go from nothing to 2%.
And I don't understand this. I'm the guy that got Japanese to expand their budget. I'm like, have you been to Japan? They don't need your help, buddy. I mean, it was just such BS, and it ran for 22 minutes, and he does not want to step down. I'm telling you, he does not want to step down.
They're going to have to drag his ass out. But the problem is the press has been covering for him.
Well, I don't think they are anymore. And then today, before I came on,
it's because they see that Donald Trump's going to win. Now Biden may not care about losing, but I can guarantee you that the Democrats care about losing, because if Biden goes in there and loses badly, then that affects the down ballot races. What's going to happen is that nobody wants to show up to vote for Joe Biden. He makes and this is probably Kamala Harris, they don't excite the base. They don't give the base a reason to turn out to vote for them. Donald Trump gives the base a reason to turn out. All these convictions, it gets the base riled up, and they can't wait to vote for him. They're excited about voting for him. They're going to show up. And the problem with the Democrats is like, oh, Jesus, Joe Biden, that's our candidate. I might as well stay home. And that's exactly what's going to happen.
I hope I survive getting to the election, because it is so awful. I've got to find this tweet that Gavin Newsom put out, because it's nonstop lies. It is
right. They're going to lie, cheat, and steal.
Oh my gosh!
Every one of them is crooked.
Well, everybody. Oh, so here's Gavin from yesterday. Donald Trump wants to put America in reverse. He wants to bring us back to the pre-1960s world. Civil rights, voting rights, women's rights, they'll all be wiped away. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I did comment on it was a White House or Kamala, because I'll comment, and I always get the little pop-up, don't put anything bad before you comment, and so I was like, does this happen on everybody else's? And I went to another page. No, it only happens on theirs. And then you start seeing what people write. Nobody's a fan anymore. I mean, I'd be scared just by what's on there. It hasn't always been like that, John.
Well, I just there's something going on, and it's not good. And that they're trying to manipulate everybody. So I just, it's hard to predict what's going to happen. Biden doesn't want to go, and they're going to have to as that cartoon showed, they're gonna have to push him over the cliff in a wheelchair.
Well,
okay.
so they're still lying because
the knives are out though.
The breaking news was spokesman John Kirby claimed Biden is so mentally fit he was even asking Kirby questions about European countries that he could not answer. Kirby had to tell Biden he'd have to get back to him. No kidding. So this is from today. This is, oh my gosh.
Veronica, you can tell when Joe Scarborough says it's time to go, you've lost. Okay.
Well, it was weird, and I've got to verify this because I saw this clip because a letter went out today from Biden saying we need to come together to beat Trump, and then he called into the show, and the clip I saw, he was like reading from whatever, yelling at Morning Joe and his wife. And and then it sounded like he read the script wrong.
and what else did we find out? That two reporters that he interviewed with, the White House sent him the questions.
Well,
sent the reporters
that was shocking. And I commented out on X because doing the show, I've had a few people that have requested I send questions. Now, a lot of times they are not politicians. They're so nervous because when somebody hasn't done media, they're freaking out. But I've put this out everywhere. If you're a freaking politician, you need to be able to answer questions, John, and not hide from them. Because that's my complaint about Congressman Dunn. He's not doing a freaking debate. He's not doing a debate. He's doing one on a radio show for an hour with somebody that likes him, and it's not even a real reporter like what I had
and he'll get a bunch of softball questions to try to make him look good,
And so I was shocked because the woman that he interviewed with, it was a black radio station, and she was fired today. So
that's the shocking part.
I was shocked.
She got fired because she let the secret out that they were sending questions to the press ahead of time for them for the interviews. That's a fireable offense.
Was caught in the crosshairs.
My God! Where's the NAACP at?
Yeah, because sometimes, if I was getting a big guest, and sometimes they'll have a press kit and they'll have the 10 questions, but I consider that a guide. And of course, you're going to ask the hard hitting questions. Are you still involved in that scandal? But I don't think anybody should ever tell us what we need to ask. That's not. I've done probably 600 interviews and. I don't want anybody telling me what to ask.
Well, you were a protocol officer in the Air Force, and did you ever send suggested questions out for the general?
Well, for the public affairs, that protocol was different. That's events.
Public affairs
and taking care of VIPs. But public affairs officer. Well, you definitely had key messages that you say, hey, we really want to talk about the air show, and you give them facts. We're going to have 150,000 people here. We're going to have 50 jets here. The Thunderbirds are going to perform. And then you do set up rules of engagement. He's not talking politics, but that's the military always. So that going in. But I did prep, and it was funny because I heard some, it was Huckabee talking about prepping for the other day on an interview, and we call him a murder board, and he used the term murder board, and that means when you prep somebody big that's going on like a 60 minutes, you do a hardcore murder board. And it was funny because Huckabee knew what that was. But come on, these are all the same questions. And then when I sent you the interview because Marco Rubio was on CNN yesterday, and he crushed it with Dana Bash, and it was like the whole interview I was throwing up because she was saying so many lies that the border is now secured, and he's like, what are you talking about? We've got 10 million people here. And then she said, this is my favorite. So is Trump, when he gets in the office, is he going to go after everybody and put them in jail? And that was her thing. And so Rubio's like you guys have been doing to us. And then he goes, no, Trump's not going to be putting people into jail because he's going to be cleaning up, turning all the policies back to normal that you all have screwed up. So she kept asking, she badgered him about that.
And then she tried to trap him into the Project 2025 debate. And I have to say, Project 25 is basically a paper that the Heritage Foundation has put together.
Well, they've got Trump all over it saying that he's the author of it.
No, he's not. He's not the author of it. This is the Heritage Foundation and a few others, Steve Bannon and Tucker Carlson, and a couple of those folks. This is their dream of remaking America, and Trump has not signed up for this, and I don't think he is going to sign up for it because. And back to how do we shoot ourselves in the foot? Okay, you have people from the Heritage Foundation, Carlson. These people are they're ideologues, and they try to come out with these. I'll call them radical policies. Okay, I don't mind calling that because some of this stuff is pretty damn radical, and they're saying we're going to fundamentally change American government. We're gonna vote in this. We're going to vote in this, and we're going to vote out all these other things. We're going to get rid of 10,000, and I don't disagree.
Well, they're saying that we're not going to have birth control because I've been following and Anthony Scaramucci, and he's literally out of control on what what it says.
Right, and this is where the Project 2025 goes off the rails. They start getting into stuff like abortion, and Trump's made his position on abortion clear. We fought 50 years to get rid of Roe versus Wade and turn it back to the states. He did that, okay? He did it. We're not going to make this a national conversation again. That's Trump's policy.
Be done with it. Be done with it.
And I have no problem with it because we got what we asked for. Did we not get what we asked for, which was turn it back to the states? That's what all the conservatives
pretending like
scream for
nobody
50
can
freaking
have
years.
An abortion. I know.
Right.
They're pretending.
Right. So when they want to make abortion policy a national issue again, I have a problem with that because it's like we've been fighting for 50 years to get it out of the national venue and get it back to states and let each state have their say on it. So why are they doing this? All they're doing is giving the Democrats ammunition to shoot at Trump when they do this kind of crap. And that's what makes me mad is because they're saying, well, this is Trump, Trump, Trump. It's like, no, it's not Trump, Trump, Trump. And that's what Rubio told Dana Bash in that interview, that Trump has not signed up for Project 2025.
Oh, they're pushing it so hard, all the libs that I follow. Oh, my gosh.
Because they see
it's always the headline. It's always the headline with them,
And why? Because they can take pieces out of this thing and say, oh, well, here's the Neanderthal Republicans again, And it's like, this is somebody's dream, at the Heritage Foundation to do this. Is it going to ever happen? Not. It's never going to happen.
Well,
okay,
it's too radical. I will say,
it's too radical, and we're too far gone.
A 4th of July event, and I met this senator, a Kentucky state senator. So I'm going to have him on here. I can't even think of his name right now. But I loved talking with him. I got to find his card here. He was literally amazing, and he's coming down here. He has a house where he vacations now. Here we go. It's Senator Gary Boswell from the 8th District in Kentucky. And did you know Kentucky, you can only have an abortion if it's the life of the mother. And we know from talking to doctors that's a rarity these days that a baby.
Yeah.
So I was shocked, and he has a Dem governor, so I can't wait to have him on in here, and we'll just go through it all because he was so interesting, talking about their issues and term limits but. Yeah, it's just awful. It's literally awful how people think that that we're pushing. I want libs to have birth control, okay? and some people don't want to have 12 children. That would be too much for me. I had 2, and that was a lot. So.
Oh, come on. Well, okay, I won't go there.
But I thought Senator Rubio was phenomenal. Because he doesn't do as much national press these days as I like. When in the past he did it all the time. So that was a 12-minute interview with Dana Bash, just literally punching him, punch, and that's the thing is he can fight back. And so she kept asking him, "Are you going to be the VP?" And he's just like, "I don't know."
Yeah, the problem with Rubio that I have is I still remember the Gang of 8 Rubio, okay, and I don't know if he's gone completely or not, and that's what scares me. When he tried, when they tried the Democrat Gang of 8 compromise on the border stuff, and it was like, are you joking me? And it took him 2 years of doing a lot of damage control in the state of Florida because Republicans in Florida were really pissed off at what he was doing. And
Well,
it took 2 years of him
I
going around
mean,
the state, trying to make up for that.
well, they were pissed off at him, because before I became the Trump chair, I was the Rubio chair for
Yeah.
6 months. And I just felt like it was not being run right. You couldn't even get stickers or T-shirts. The Miami lead was sending me the link to buy them, and I was like, "That's not my job."
But well, the
You
problem
know?
is, Veronica, and you deal with these people all the time. It's the handlers. Okay,
Oh,
di-
terrible! The woman was terrible.
right. And I don't know if he succumbed to his handlers,
Well, I don't think
his
he knew
advisors.
about
He was
his
getting some bad.
handlers.
Right, he was getting some bad advice from somebody, and
Well,
maybe he just got.
and then I was
got
bold
pushed in.
because
I don't know.
I got, when you work for Trump, I got the invite to the parties up there and the Trump inauguration. And I've told this story before. It was, he was the holdup for the secretary, what's it, Tillman? He didn't like this guy that was going to be the Secretary of State. And so when I was
The
attending
the guy was head of Exxon.
Yeah.
He was retired from Exxon.
And when I was attending all these parties, people are like, "Oh, where are you from? Florida." And they're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't stand Senator Rubio." Like they had nothing for him. He's holding up this nomination. He needs to get over it. And so I've done literally, I can't even tell you how many events I've done with him, a lot. And so sadly for Senator Rubio, he was on my airplane flying, and I ended up having to go to Miami and then connect back up to the Panhandle. And so I cornered him and I said, "I just want you to know," because I've worked for generals, and I tell them the good, the bad, and the ugly is what I said. And I said, this was the feedback, because literally the whole country was there in DC. I met Canadians, people from California, like the whole world was there. And when you have a whole weekend going, we're so happy Trump won. Oh my gosh, we're so pissed at your senator. I thought he needed to know. And I told him.
Well,
So,
you need to get that feedback, and if you're
and I don't know if his staffers were telling him.
well, the good no, they don't tell him that, because it's like the Biden.
Well, that's a
people,
bad staffer.
The Biden people aren't telling him the truth. They're covering for him. That they're making a story up for to try to sell this thing, and they have no morals. They have.
Well, it's a power grab.
They're all liars.
Power grab.
Right. It's power and money. That's what it is. Power and money. And back to wannabe never-be's, these people would be nothing. Nothing. You think Anthony Blinken could get a high-level job in anywhere? No. Other than Biden, because Obama, Biden, that's it, All Jake Sullivan, same thing, These people would never get hired by anybody for anything because they're stupid. Number one, they really are
and
stupid.
they lie at every moment. So,
right.
They totally lie.
They're what do they call them? Smart, stupid people. They're people that are.
Well,
that
they're
smart,
actually really
they're stupid,
lucky.
but they think they're smart. Yeah,
they're lucky
because
because they got these jobs, and they're just not accomplished people, and they're not worthy of these jobs, and then they end up being terrible at these jobs. But that's the thing. If you're listening to our show, one of the mentorship rules is you always tell your boss the good, the bad, and the ugly, because then you're prepared.
Yeah. Well, have you ever heard of the Peter Principle?
I think I have.
That you rise to your level. You rise to your level of incompetence.
Yes, I think you've mentioned that.
So most people they ascend to a job, and then it takes them as far as their level of competence takes them, and at some point you get to where you're high enough up that you're incompetent to go to the next level. So in business, that means the only way you can move, you don't move ahead. You only end up moving lateral transfer, moving sideways.
Well, these
transferring
people
jobs,
are
terrible. Going for the next bigger job. So there's a lot of people like that in government, and the problem with them is they're actually exceeding their level of competence, as Blinken and Jake Sullivan both represent. Because it's like here you have these people who have zero experience in running a war, basically telling the Ukrainians and the Israelis how to run a war.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like this is stupid, and they're
Well, these
overriding
people can't
the
even tie
DOD
their
people.
shoe, and they've never
Right,
liked the military
right.
because
And
the libs
what's
have
our
never liked us.
and what's the problem that our military has? We have a feckless Secretary of Defense, who was put
Oh my
into
gosh,
position
he's been so
purely
bad.
because he's a black man. That's the only reason he got the job, because he's black. Okay, I'll say it out loud. I don't mind saying it. I'm not a racist. He got the job because he's black. And same reason that Kamala Harris got the job.
Well, and they don't want her. They so don't want that woman.
Right.
I mean, that's been the funny part.
Right. And what did Biden say? Like to Jackson Brown, right? I'm going to appoint a black woman to the Supreme Court. Okay, he didn't say I'm going to put a qualified black woman. I'm going to put a black woman on there. Doesn't matter whether she's qualified or not. The fact that she's black and a woman checks those two boxes. And if she was a lesbian, it would be even better.
My favorite quote. Oh my gosh, I just love Senator Kennedy. And Senator Kennedy, he always gets it right. And he said something to it was something like, Biden is as dead as a fried chicken politically. And his campaign slogan is, I'm only senile some of the time.
Hey, got that one right. That's good.
Fun to follow. Because there was a video, and I pulled out the quote because I was like, you got to hear the quote. I mean, I'm in love with this man.
Only senile some of the time.
He's so funny.
Yeah, that's the time when I'm talking to old Vlad,
Do you not love that man? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. He's talk about a bit of Americana, that's what we're missing is people with common sense, a large dose of common sense in government, and understand that things aren't always what they seem to be. Well, but these people are idiots, and he doesn't, he hauls them up, they come up in front of him, to be an officer of the United States, you got to go to the Senate to get approved, right? And these people come up, they're wholly unqualified for the job. Okay, back to the Peter principle. They are beyond their level of incompetence, and he seems to be able to pull it right out of them to show you how stupid they are.
But it's been a long-standing thing because I follow, and you need to follow him on X. I've messaged him about coming on the show, and he said yes. So his name's Buzz Patterson, and he worked for Clinton, and he held the nuclear football. And he always has like Buzz bedtime stories at night, and he's written a couple books on Amazon. So I'm working to get him on. He has said yes, so I'm working it. But he told a story this weekend that Clinton was at this fancy golf event, and we were trying to go to war. And so I forgot who called, but it was like a Secretary of Defense or something called, and Clinton didn't want to be disturbed. Called back. He's still at the little event. Didn't want to be disturbed. 3 times. Wouldn't handle it. Wouldn't handle like a war event because he'd rather be drinking and doing his golf thing. So these people suck. They suck. They don't even do the right thing. And then he tells stories about Hillary didn't want military people in their uniforms in the White House. And he was holding the nuke football. He's like, screw that. I'm a fighter pilot. I don't know. Well, he's a pilot in the Air Force. I'm wearing my uniform, and you couldn't make eye contact with her, and anybody would see her. They had like little verbiage that they'd go like, "Oh my gosh, like the witch is here," and everybody would scurry away. So I'm dying to get Buzz Patterson on it, and then he's written so many books. He's got to tell us which one to read. But,
I heard something similar from a guy that was a Navy guy. He was part of the comms, the military comms team. They didn't carry the football kind of thing, but they've got military for the secure military communications. Those people are always around, right? And he was relaying something similar to what happened at Camp David, that Hillary came into the kitchen one night or something, and just the nastiest piece of garbage. And he was there for Bush and Clinton, and he was comparing the two of them and said, the Bushes were just the nicest people, that you could imagine. And they didn't look down on the staff, and Hillary was just the opposite. These were nothing. These were dirt people, to them. So yeah, that speaks a whole lot about, think about it in a larger context, Veronica. You're the president of the United States, okay? and then you are looking down on the people that work there to support you.
But could you
You
imagine
think they're
having
garbage. You
worn
think
a
they're garbage.
uniform and you're unrespected, that you work? That's one of the like prestigious jobs, is to be in the White House as a, some sort of military liaison, and they don't want you to wear the damn uniform. That's ridiculous. That's part of the
Veronica,
prestige.
when I was in the Navy, okay, this is mid '70s, late '70s, early '80s, okay. When I was stationed in Jacksonville, we were not allowed to wear a uniform off base. We had to change into civilian clothes to go on and off the base.
Well, I've had that happen overseas because they're worried about
Yeah,
terrorist threats.
But
we always stick out as an American.
This is America, though. This is America, and Jacksonville is a Navy town.
Yeah, that's
and
shocking.
They were embarrassed. They were embarrassed to have whoever was, I don't know, the political leaders. Somebody told the commander of the naval district. This wasn't just NAS Jacksonville. This is the entire naval district. And somebody told the naval district, we don't want to see all these. Maybe it was post-Vietnam. I have no idea, but it was like the only uniform you could wear was your dress uniform. That was it.
That's so funny because I've only experienced that overseas, and and then when I was in the military, I did so many rub your elbows, events. I actually met Al Gore when I was a protocol officer, and oh my gosh. Harry Reid was awful. Dealt with him numerous times when I worked out in Vegas. So, but yeah, it's just crazy that we would ever reach that point that military, you don't love the military, but I think that's part of it right now. The military is a mess. And then there's been those articles about, letting, these illegals join our military. And I'm like, no, it's one thing if you come here legally, because it's a fast way to become an American. But yeah, we've gone off the deep end lately with all of the crazy issues. So anyways,
well, we're not the only ones going off the deep end. I mean, we had. What do you make of these elections over in France and England, where basically I won't say the leftists won. The leftists are forming the governments because the right basically, was it Marine Le Pen's National Party?
Yeah.
Republican Party.
I thought we were good. Yeah, I was so excited about it.
Blew up the Macron government, and the same thing. The conservative, the Labor Party actually got enough votes with the other parties to basically toss the Tories out, the Conservatives out. So big sea change over in the UK and France.
But I heard somebody from the UK, and they were saying that the Brits have kind of been asleep at the wheel because it's been going okay, and then the Conservatives didn't dig deep to win, and then when it came to Le Pen, the leftists all joined to make sure she didn't make it, and it was funny because they definitely have all of these immigrants that were burning stuff, like Paris was burning last night still. And so, and I've heard this for years. They've let the whole world in, and Paris will not be Paris in 20 years. And somebody was telling me a story too that their family members over there right now, and there's graffiti everywhere. It's dirty, and they didn't even look prepared for the Olympics because they've let all of this, shenanigans go down with these people. And do we here's the bottom line. Do we not want Paris to be Paris with speaking French, having macaroons, having your snails? Do you not want that for
escargot?
For that, yeah, escargot. Do you not want that? Do you not want France to be France? I want France to be France. I want UK to be UK. I want America to be America. And we're becoming a third world country right now. And Europe's facing this right now. There was something on X. They made a video, and it was so that for these immigrants not to rape women. Like, they're going to listen to that. You know what I'm saying?
I was laughing
So did you see it? You saw it.
Rear end off, yes. And it's like...
I think I sent it to you. I sent it to you.
Yes. Some of those comments were so freaking stupid, Veronica. Only a leftist could come up with that stuff. I mean,
yeah.
Hit the wrong button here. Nope. This is what the quote was.
Oh, you found it. Okay.
Yeah, stop! Don't touch me there. This is my no square.
I didn't even see that
I
one.
almost fell over. I was laughing so hard. I was like, my no square. Like some immigrant's going to give a
Right. They're not going to care. Yeah.
Are these people insane? I mean, seriously.
Well. Plus, I see that now. Oh my gosh, it's actually a TikTok video. The women in the video look horrific. Okay, so that's part 2. No one's going to touch them
you wouldn't want to touch them anyway,
because they
right?
didn't comb their hair or put makeup on this morning.
I was going to say, and if they're French women.
Oh, this was in Finland.
Europeans.
Video. That's right.
Yeah, they have this issue about they don't like shave in places, so or use deodorant, or
Not everybody, John.
Okay,
but back in the day, that was true. But there's still a few that fight that.
I prefer to remember Paris when I went over there a few times, and
the last time I went to Paris, it was out of control actually, and that's why I haven't been back. There was graffiti everywhere, and then I went to. They have it's been there probably like 300 years. It's an antique zone that people have been selling furniture, antiques for hundreds of years. And so we took the metro and went shopping, and all around it were a bunch of vendors selling knockoffs. And in the center was all these stores that had been there for years. It was time to leave. And I was with 2 other people, women. Luckily, we pre-bought our ticket. We had our ticket in our hand, and literally we were accosted by like 25. They were Arab teen boys trying to mess with us. And had we not had our ticket, I don't know what would have happened, because why did that happen? And then there was people trying to steal from you at every corner. Because I went to Paris, I went with it was 6 of us. One of the ladies was very well to do, and I got to experience buying a Chanel bag with her at the flagship. So that was hardship. With give me champagne. So I got to experience what it was like. And when we left the store, 2 Eastern women with maps tried to pickpocket her. I had to physically push them away, pretending like they were tourists looking at maps, and then like in our face bump into you in their hands in your purse. And so it was such a horrific experience that I have not been wanting to go back since that happened, John. And I'm a world traveler. I've been all over the world. Like Tokyo, you can leave something on the train, you're going to get it back. People have left their laptops, they've gotten it back, And then when I went to London, I hadn't been there in a long time, and I was very worried and had my purse, but it did not give off the same vibe as that. So, because you got to control, you have to control your borders. No tourist wants to endure that.
That's exactly what it is. It's allowing all this. It's immigration, and these people come in. They have no interest in assimilating, and the society. When I was in Paris, I was amazed how clean it was. I mean, they were out there at night washing the streets down. Washing the sidewalks and the streets. The facades on the buildings were all clean. You go to a lot of big cities, particularly older cities, and the facades are all, covered with soot, from the diesel buses and trucks and stuff like that. They just got this dingy tinge to them. Not Paris. It was all clean and nice, and they cared about it. Okay, that was the message. We care about our city, and it's sad to see that. That's why I like going to South Korea. It's more like that still, and.
Japan, there's not even one single trash can anywhere on the street, and there's not one single piece of trash anywhere.
Right. Anywhere.
And nobody messes with you. Nobody's raping women, killing anybody. Nobody's doing that stuff. And that's why, and the dollar right now is 160 yen to the dollar, that's where I'm thinking of going on a quick trip to, because you don't have to worry about your safety, John.
Right. Well, that's what I like. It's in South Korea. You see these little kids. I mean, 4 and 5 year old
Japan
school kids,
as well,
first grade.
going to pre-K.
They're walking down the street unaccompanied.
And nobody messes with them.
Nobody messes with it. Nobody dares mess with them.
In America, somebody would kidnap them, molest them, and then kill them, because that's how it goes
Right.
down here, because we
Right.
don't handle these criminals the way
And
they need to be
in
handled.
Korea, you try doing that, and people will mess with you.
Yeah.
To stop
Yeah.
you. So, but
well,
it's just the
it's
culture.
worse
But you don't see
now
all these immigrants. You don't see
because
the immigrants over there.
And like we've said, my family's legal immigrants. I am pro-immigrant. You bring something to the table. You bring the right thing to, even if you're somebody picking fruit, if you're legal, no problem. It's just, I don't know who you are now, and I think a lot of these people are bad apples. And then what do you think is going to happen? Because if Biden does not get out by Friday, his name's on the ballot and they're stuck with him. Is that not the case for this week?
Yes, and that's why I laugh when I hear all these talking heads saying, well, at the convention, and it's like the convention is too late, okay? You can't do anything at the convention to change Joe Biden because Joe Biden's already been elected. By the time the Democrat convention happens, Joe Biden has already been officially elected by the Democrat Party as their candidate. So the convention is nothing more than a show. Would give speeches and have a good time for the delegates. That's all the convention. It's a party for the delegates. The actual work of electing is going to happen on a Zoom meeting. I think in a week or so. Anyway, that's what they keep talking about. They're saying about they've got till Friday or whatever to fix it. But the only person, even if Joe Biden dies, he's still on the ballot. Okay.
Jill's going to be like putting his face, like when you watch what's the Tom Cruise Mission Impossible, and they got the fake faces.
Yeah.
Jill will be putting on the fake face, and then I don't know if you've heard, this one has disgusted me, is that Hunter Biden's attending all of these meetings. Then there's pictures that have been leaked this weekend of Jill with all the documents for all these conferences. So she's been reviewing, probably, Joey's her student, quizzing him. But I don't want Hunter Biden, I don't even want his big toe at the White House. He has no business being at any of these damn meetings. And so I put that on X, and somebody challenged me, if it's a public meeting, I don't want him at any of these meetings. He's an embarrassment, a crackhead, and a cokehead. Give me he'd never have a clearance.
Well, apparently Hunter Biden and Joe Biden are the ones that are really behind the show about what's going on. It's the two of them that's doing this, and it's horrible to even think about it. But one thing I was surprised. I was listening to some of that. They're talking about Georgia election law, and if Biden's on the ballot within 60 days of the election and he dies, he will get no votes. They will not count his votes if he's dead. So even though he's on the ballot, and Trump wins the state.
Okay.
Which I thought was really kind of funny, but
Trump is up.
Think,
I mean, they're posting all of these. Everybody's posting all these polls out there, and he looks really good to me. That as long as people aren't lazy, I think we're going to take it.
Yeah. Well, the thing to keep in mind about the Democrats, the Democrat Party is not like the Republican Party. The Democrat Party has a thing called super delegates. Okay, they actually run the party, and they can override all the regular at the convention, or when it comes time to nominate and vote on the candidate. Their votes count more than the regular people that were elected, from the states. So the superdelegates actually have a lot of power in who gets to do what. And the only problem they have is how bad are they going to piss off their base? Because if they change Joe Biden, doesn't matter who it is. They change to Kamala, they change to Gavin Newsom, Hillary comes back, they are going to piss off a big chunk of their base. And that is not going to help. That's going to be a complete disaster. The Journal had an interesting piece there. The last time that something like this happened was George McGovern and Thomas Eagleton back in the 70s. And I don't know if you may not remember that particular story.
I was very, very young.
Okay, well, Eagleton was a senator. And of course, McGovern had won the presidential nomination for the Democrats, and so Eagleton was going to be the VP candidate. And of course, as soon as that happened, the Oppo research started happening, and they come to find out that Eagleton had been hospitalized for depression and all kinds of mental problems.
So like a Fetterman.
Oh yeah, even worse so. He was actually being treated for it. And of course, now you got to remember this is back in the 70s, and it's like, mental illness in the vice president. It's like, okay, you're joking here? And it's like, no, we're not joking. And people were serious about it. Anyway, so McGovern ended up dumping him and picking Herbert Humphreys as the VP guy, but Hubert Humphreys. But they were talking about Eagleton, and McGovern actually went to his doctors and talked to his doctors and said, can he actually assume the duties of the president if he had to? And one of them said, yeah, I wouldn't go there. And the other one says, I wouldn't even let him be vice president because he can't manage the stress of the job, and it will put him right back in the hospital. And that was the end of his. That was fine for being in the Senate, but that's the end of your job as vice presidential candidate. And of course, what happened with McGovern? McGovern had won one state. His home state of Wisconsin. That was the only state he won. No, it wasn't Wisconsin. North Dakota, maybe. Anyway, wherever McGovern was from, that was the only state he won out of the 50 states. That's the only one he won. And that's what's coming for the Democrats. That's what
has just come out. I'm going to send this to you. This is Trump's agenda because there's so many lies right now, and I mean, we can talk through this. Number one, seal the border, stop the migrant invasion. That's literally everybody I know. So It's got 20 points. Carry out the largest deportation in American history. And if I don't know who you are, and say you're some Venezuelan out of an insane asylum, I don't want you in my country. End inflation. Make America affordable again. Because right now, nobody can buy a house at 7% interest rate, John. Make America the dominant energy producer in the world by far. Yeah, why can't we use our own energy and stop pushing some of these radical ideas? I don't see a country where everybody's plugging in their vehicles, John.
Well, not only that, Veronica, but just think of the stupidity of this for a moment there, right? So we're thinking world economics. The Russians export a lot of natural gas, and it goes to Europe and a bunch of other countries. Now we are refusing to export liquid natural gas anymore because the Greenies don't like it. So the Biden administration is doing their bidding, and they've stopped construction on LNG terminals, and they're holding up shipments of the gas. So what does that mean? It means it leaves all these other countries that need the gas with no choice but to use Russian gas and pay money to Russia to give them money to fund their war effort. So we can turn around and print money to fund the Ukrainians to fight the Russians, and it's like,
I want to be able to have my own energy here and drill, baby, drill.
Well, it's not just our energy; it's use our energy as a weapon against Russia, against the Chinese. When the Russians want to be that way, fine. Just tell the Russians we are going to drive you into the ground. When it comes to oil and gas, we are going to export so much oil and gas that we're going to make nobody will buy anything from you for anything.
So another point on
that's what Reagan did. Reagan said, "We're going to Star Wars your ass into poverty."
And stop outsourcing and turn the United States into a manufacturing superpower. This is important when it comes to like medicine, and I'm tired of everything being set, made in China, because I don't know, are they? I don't know. You've seen it a lot in the medical world when people need medicine and this medicine's made in China, so that scares me. I want you to make medicine here. That's one big one for me.
But there's a cost to that. There's a cost to that, Veronica, and that's what people don't want to pay. They want the cheap stuff. They don't want to pay. And the thing is, America is not the cheap producer. We're not the low cost producer.
Well,
let's
figure out how to make us the cheap producer. Large tax cut for workers and no tax on tips, and I'm kind of really excited about that because we've all been a waitress. When I was in college, I worked at a high-end Italian restaurant, and it's nice. Those are your tips. You've worked hard for that. Defend our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and our fundamental freedoms, including freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the right to keep and bear arms. I mean, that's basic Basic
Yeah, but we're already
rules of
post-constitutional. I
Basic
don't need to
101.
fix that.
Prevent World War III, restore peace in Europe and in the Middle East. Let's see. Somebody was just dialing me, my husband, so I sent him to voicemail. And build a great Iron Dome missile defense shield. That's a new one I've been hearing right now lately, that we need an Iron Dome shield because we have all these threats now. China
it's
sending balloons, but when they sent the balloon, we didn't do anything.
Yeah, well, it goes back to Reagan, with his Star Wars stuff, and he had the right idea. And look what happened to the Soviet Union. I mean, it basically collapsed. There was a false narrative that the Soviet Union was this 10,000-pound gorilla that we were fighting against, and all it took was a little bit of money, not much, and this idea of Star Wars, and we basically bankrupted the Soviet Union, and that led to its collapse. So, how much of Putin has shown that Russia is a paper tiger. Our military has grossly overestimated their military capability. Oh, but he has nukes, and it's like, yeah, right. All you got to do is have the will to say, you touch those nukes, light one off, and we will light you up like there's no tomorrow.
And the weaponization. That's
why it's called deterrence, right?
Yeah, I love deterrence. That'll be one of the tattoos I get, the deterrent tattoo. That'll be a good one. And the weaponization of government against the American people, and that needs to stop. We've got to start that immediately. What they've done to Trump and everybody else that's in jail, Steve Bannon, that Peter Navarro, and then who knows, all of these J6ers that the last interview we had with the J6 wife was so powerful.
Yeah. Well, and then you see the Supreme Court, I'm trying to remember the name of that decision, Jones, the one that shut down the Chevron deference.
Right.
That is hugely, people aren't talking much about that. That is such a sea change, because the judges are no longer allowed to defer to the administrative state on their expertise. The judges have to make a decision now, which is the way it's supposed to work.
Well, this one's scary, and I brought this up with our one of our guests earlier today about stop the migrant crime epidemic, demolish the foreign drug cartels. That's what we were talking about. Crush gang violence and lock up violent offenders. And that's the thing. Every single day, somebody's getting killed, and this person's been let out of jail again, to harm somebody. So we've got to deport them, or put them in jail forever, because I'm tired of it. Rebuild our cities, including D.C., making them safe, clean, and beautiful again. And, Chicago, 87 people killed shot at the last few days. It's out of control. And you've got to respect, part of that is respecting cops, You got to respect cops. And
what do you think? What do you think about building a giant prison in Gitmo and deporting all these criminals to Gitmo?
Well, the people in Gitmo are having a great time. They get cable, TV, newspapers, and they get hummus, which I like the food, so we'd be okay. What number am I? Oh, strengthen and modernize our military, making it without question the strongest and most powerful in the world. Well, that should be like. That makes sense. It should always be that. Keep the U.S. dollar. No? You don't want a strong military always?
Our military is in desperate need of being reformed, Veronica. It really is.
Well, we need leadership right now because we have all those woke generals in there. But I know a few that are not woke. So.
Well, the problem is we need to find leaders in the military that understand the purpose of the military and have enough common sense to figure out where the military fits in the world order. I mean, we have a Navy, even though I'm Navy, the Navy can't figure out what kind of ships to build. I mean, fundamental stuff here, okay?
Well, they want to
throw more
basics,
billions of dollars at it.
You always say, what is it? Kill people and break things.
Right.
Right. Well, because we've lost it now. It's all this DEI training and making sure we have the gay pride luncheon. It's just out of control.
Well,
that's not what I want people focused on. I wrote this on one of my tweets this week. Let's focus on having a strong military and focus on our mission. And that is not our mission. I'm sorry. It's not agendas. It's not
even
agendas.
Worse. It's even worse than that, though, Veronica. We build ships that cost so much money that we're afraid to sink them. We're afraid to put them in harm's way. And so we spend all this money on defensive stuff. They have all this self-defense missiles and radars and stuff, and they give up all the offensive weapons in order to have the defensive weapons so they can preserve themselves in a war. Now it's like, wait a minute, this is a war, okay? Kill people, break things, okay? The purpose is not to preserve your ships, okay? It's to go out and kill people, and there's a thing called, it's one thing I really liked about modern Marine Corps leadership. The Commandant of the Marine gets it. There's this thing called attributable losses, okay? People are going to get killed. We're going to lose equipment. You have to accept that fact. And the Air Force, same way. The Air Force is afraid to lose airplanes because they cost $100 million a pop.
No, some cost
you
more.
You can't afford to lose them.
That's right. Well, and because nobody, and it takes so long to get one.
Right.
It's a 10-year process. Right. So no, I get it. I totally get it.
And that's what I'm saying. Our military, it's not a matter of more money. The whole damn thing is broken. The whole concept is broken of defense, and we need to stop and do like the Marines and say, what's our mission? Let's get back to our mission. Let's cut all this fluff. The Marine Corps got rid of every one of their M1A1 Abrams tanks because they figured out we're not in the land war business. That's the Army's job. We'll give all the tanks to the Army and let the Army take care of land wars. We are a light, mobile, fast-moving force, and we will have munitions and equipment that reflects that. That's the kind of mindset we need in the Navy and the Air Force and the Army also, So we've lost that, and maybe it takes a war to figure it out. And the Ukrainian
we've had enough wars. We need Trump in office so we don't have these headaches anymore. Next, keep the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency, because I think we're in jeopardy of losing that.
Well, we need to stop printing money.
Yeah,
that's number one. We need to quit printing money we don't have.
Fight for and protect Social Security, Medicare with no cuts, including no changes to the retirement age, which the Dems always say, they're taking your Social Security away. And I'm like, I've been paying into that damn thing since I was 15. Don't you be taking my TJ Maxx money, John. No.
No, you don't understand. It's not, there's no lockbox, okay? Only Hillary Clinton has a testicle lockbox, but there's no lockbox with Social Security money in it, okay? It's a bunch of IOUs that there's nothing behind.
Well, and stop changing the retirement age, because my husband doesn't want to work till he's 90. I'm telling you.
well, we're going to have to change. The sad fact is something has to change, and we're going to have to change.
Well, it's called balancing the budget. Cut these stupid. Get rid of the education. Department of
Veronica,
Education. What are they doing?
If you look back to statistics, look at the number of people. When Social Security started, I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but there were like 30 workers for every retiree. Now there are 2 workers for every retiree.
That's rough.
It's the wrong trend. You can't take enough money, and that's how Social Security is funded. Everybody that's working pays their Social Security. Every dime of that money goes out to people like me who get Social Security, by the way.
Well, I'm not there yet, but when I get there, I want my TJ Maxx money, John. But we need to balance the budget, and people in D.C. right now don't care. Plus, sending billions and billions and billions off to Ukraine. When do you say enough already? So I don't know.
Trump has a plan, I don't know what it is, and I think appropriately he's not talking about it. He shouldn't talk about it because you don't give away your cards,
All right. So, this is Trump stuff, supposedly. Cancel the electric vehicle mandate and cut costly and burdensome regulations. So, we won't talk about that. Cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, race, gender ideology, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content on our children. Yes, I am sick of agendas. I don't want your flag. I want the American and state flag only in schools. And I'm tired of agendas. Somebody can have the flags at their clubs or whatever, but I don't need to see them at schools or in the military anymore. I'm sick of it. I don't want it anymore.
We don't need any drag queen story hours in the elementary schools.
And I've been fighting hard because I comment all the time on this. Keep men out of women's sports. Done. Your body is not the same as a woman. I don't care if you bolt boobs on. You are not the same. So we're done with that. Deport pro-Hamas radicals and make our college campuses safe and patriotic again. Oh boy, that one, if Trump does that one, people are going to be like, what about free speech? Well, I'm tired of promoting communist or agendas. You know, I'm sorry. A lot of people, 1,300 people were killed in Israel, and they were not military people that were killed. And what was done to them was atrocious. So I'm done with your pro.
Well, the other thing too, to read that, Veronica, it says deport. Okay, so that means we're talking about non-citizens. We're talking about people that come over here on student visas. Yeah, okay, they are guests in our country, and if they want to come over here and protest and
this
and
is
do
not your
pro-Hamas,
country to protest.
Boot their butts out of here. You know, send them back to wherever they came from, because we don't need that kind of stuff.
The next one, I don't know why this is 2024, and why this is not already done with, I don't know why. Secure our elections, including same-day voting, voter ID, paper ballots, and proof of citizenship. Why is this a thing? Why are we still talking about this so that the Dems can easily steal the election?
There you go. You got it. So they can steal the election. That's exactly.
This needs to be done. This needs to be... go back to one-day voting, because I will say here in Florida, I feel like it's a month pre-early voting, and I never was an early voter until COVID. But now it's a little out of control.
Why is it okay in all these other countries? You know, you got the blue thumb, right?
Yeah, your purple finger. Yeah.
Right, for voting. You know, what's wrong with that?
And the final one, supposedly this is Trump's top 20. Unite our country by bringing it to new and record levels of success. And
that sounds like
don't
Trump.
We love our country? Don't we want us to be successful? Don't I want you to have a job and a house and health care? Yes. I want all of this.
What's wrong with the words "Make America Great Again"? What's wrong with that idea?
I don't know. It's like a dirty word, you know. And when people hate you on X, they're like, "Oh, she's MAGA." I don't even have MAGA in my breakdown. And then this week, somebody reposted my. I was like, "Who reposted me?" And it was like, "She has a flag in my little, you know," because I have the microphone and
it's not Palestinian.
And it said, "We should have known." She had a flag. I had an American flag in my little "Who I Am" on my profile, and that pushed this turkey over because I love America. I don't even have MAGA on there, and this person was like, "She's a MAGA because she has a flag," and I'm just
exactly.
So I blocked his ass because I go and I look at their page, and then I was like, "Don't be retweeting me, buddy." Because I have an American flag. You should have one too. This is love of country. And that's the thing. If you've ever been to a third world country, and I know, John, you have, I have, we're becoming one. I don't want to be a third world country. There's nothing glamorous about it. I remember going to Ecuador, 2 weeks down there. This little kid, I've told this story before, broke his arm. Somebody didn't set a broken arm forever with his arm in a sling, and then seeing meat in a meat market, literally, it was 100 degrees, hanging off of like this metal hook. Like, I don't want to live like that. I want to go to a grocery store, so I don't know. This is just insane what's going down.
Well, people hate America, and it's like, maybe it's just all the privilege that they've had. America is soft, and go back 50 years ago. Life was not easy for people. Okay, you had a lot of poverty. People were not well off generally, and I think it's just because the generations we have now have not had to work for anything.
No,
they hadn't had to sacrifice. That's the key word, right?
Well, try working a military exercise, and it's a 20-hour day for like 4 days in a row, putting on a chem suit when it's 100 degrees. It's not fun. It's not fun. These people wouldn't make it. But, I think we've got a lot in our future. We've got next week's the RNC. We're going to see what happens there. Who's our VP pick? Will Biden survive this? I'm telling you, Dr. Jill is propping his ass up. And I put this all the time. I blame Jill. I left the doctor off. I put that everywhere now.
What do they call her? Lady Macbeth or something now?
Yeah, Lady Macbeth. Hell yeah. And now we've got, I blame Jill and Hunter, cokehead Hunter. But anyways,
well, the gravy train's coming to an end for them. That's the problem. Yeah. They're in a panic. The gravy train.
That's the thing. You
think anybody's going to hire Hunter?
Well, but once Trump starts looking at how did you get these millions of dollars when you've been in government 40 years and you're worth 30 million or whatever, so we'll see what happens. But great show. Been talking with my wingman John Salak, and this is Veronica Live, and we are on all the platforms. So if you want to hear the show, please follow us. If you want to sponsor the show, message me, veronicalivetalk@gmail.com, and we want to take this to another level, but we need you to do it. So thanks for listening to Veronica Live, and we'll be back soon. Veronica Live out.